So you're familiar with the D.C. bureau chief of The Intercept, Ryan Grimm, who obfuscated around forced to vote, kneecaps Medicare for all on the regular. Now he's doing it again. We'll show you that with the new Medicare for all march. He's trying to muddy the waters. He's tried to muddy the waters around Syria, imperialism, Aaron Mate. So we've caught him doing a lot of nefarious stuff, Ryan Grimm, the D.C. bureau chief of The Intercept, and doing phony fundraising for The Intercept, too. Well, he goes on this show, The Vanguard. You know The Vanguard? Friends of the show. I'm big fans of The Vanguard guys. And I've been on their show, right? It's
Yes.
fun.
Yeah.
And the Vanguard guys, you know, they're I like that they're out there doing it, and they get it right most of the time, right? Much more than other people. So they had him on, and so I went really fast. I got logged on to YouTube, and it said, "Hey, there's a live stream with the Vanguard," right? It came up in my feed, and Ryan Grimm. I'm like, "Oh, because Ryan Grimm has blocked me." So the DC bureau chief of The Intercept has blocked me on Twitter. He's blocked me, and then continues to tweet at me or tweet about me in negative ways, which is not cool. That's like the opposite of what a journalist is supposed to do. That's not, and it certainly breaks at least 3 douchebag rules. So there he is, being a douchebag. He's wearing a T-shirt because he thinks it makes him look more like a human. And so I got in the chat, right? So I don't know what was happening. I didn't see the whole. They did like a 40-minute interview before I got in. So I get in and I start, that's the Jimmy Dore show, is asking a question. Why did you try muddying the waters on Syria when you obviously haven't read anything about it and aren't even familiar with Aaron's work? So we already did a video about that. You can go watch it. It's called Humiliated, I think. And it's when he likes to humiliate himself. You know, Ryan Grimm, he does. That's why he gets ratioed on Twitter on the regular. And why? Because I think he likes humiliation.
That's his peccadillo.
So that's his peccadillo. And so I wanted to ask these questions, and I don't know what was happening before in the interview, but I asked like a series of like at least 7, maybe 10, a lot of questions I asked. And it was unfortunate that he didn't answer any of them. So that was unfortunate. But here's how it went. Watch this.
Since Jimmy is in the chat, I figured this will be a good segue into my last question for you, Ryan. And as you see here, he's asking why you even got involved in the Syria discussion with Aaron Mate on Twitter. And I guess this is a good segue into my question for you, which is...
No. That's a good segue into the question I paid to ask. Why don't you ask him that question? That would be the question I would like to ask. So that's why people have super chats. That's why people pay money for super chats. So you ask that question. But it's your show. You do whatever they want. So that was a heartbreaker for me. But it turned out okay. Watch, it still turns out okay.
It does seem like you really like wading into Twitter battles. It seems like every time I open my Twitter feed, you're fighting with Jimmy Dore or Aaron Mate or Ryan Knight or someone else. And I just find that amusing because you seem so goddamn calm and non-combative in person. Like when we're talking, you seem so reasonable, but then it seems like you're jumping at the bit to engage with these guys on Twitter, which is fine. But I do think in the sense that, some people that you could potentially be reaching with your reporting kind of now have this view of you that otherwise, again, might be reached by your reporting. Again, you're the one who broke the Tara Reid case. There's no reason why so many people on the left should have this intensely negative view of you. But
there's plenty of reasons. There's places you watch our videos that we do about Ryan Grimm. So there's a ton of videos and there's a ton of reasons. So there's that. But it was also unfortunate that they took a serious question about a very prominent journalist, the D.C. bureau chief for The Intercept, who tried to muddy the waters on Syria, and then they demeaned it down to jumping into a Twitter spat. So these are narratives being pushed by the establishment media. And so it falls on people like Aaron Mate and myself, because no one else is doing it, to fucking push back against these narratives, especially people who consider themselves on the left instead of what he actually is, a guy who runs interference for the establishment. And he head fakes you that he's on your side progressive, right? So it was unfortunate that question didn't get asked that I asked, and B, that it got turned into the equivalent of a Twitter spat. That's a very important question about why is he doing that? Why is he trying to muddy the waters on our imperialism in Syria when he knew nothing about it? It was obvious he knew nothing about it and wasn't familiar with Aaron's work. So here we go. Well, here's his answer.
Seems like you've picked a lot of these fights, so maybe that's why. I'm just wondering what exactly you get out of it and why you like Twitter War so much.
Yeah, I say what I think, and I always have, and some.
But he says what he's just interested in the truth.
Yeah.
He just says what he just
comes from the heart.
He cares. But the question, I do want to say, even though he switched the question, I'll summarize his question. Why are you such a dick on Twitter? What do you get out of that? And what do you get out of being owned so often on Twitter? So that I liked both questions. I liked his question. I liked his question. I did not like his question. I liked his question. I wish both could have been asked. But here we go.
Sometimes that works to my benefit. Sometimes it doesn't. But I'm never going to change. Like I could tell myself now.
I'm never going to change. I'm never going to stop muddying the waters on imperialism. I'm never going to stop making excuses for why we don't cover the OPCW whistleblower. I'm going to never stop running interference for the squad and shitting on activists and nobodies who have podcasts like Jimmy Dore and Ryan Knight. I'm going to take time out of my day and to try to just find ways to shit on these guys, which is what he does. So he tries to discredit people who are on the left. So if you're saying anything about a third party, he's going to shit on you too. He's going to undermine your efforts. Put it that way, in a disingenuous way. That's what he does.
With particular strings of arguments. Like I can say, you know what? Okay, we've exhausted this one. We're saying the same things over.
Yeah, you mean like when you said that you tried to use a football analogy around forced to vote to a fucking professional football player, and he humiliated you and owned your ass twice? Tries to use a football analogy to run interference for forced to vote. And he got his ass owned. And so I guess that's when the string has run out. You mean when you've been embarrassed enough, when you've been humiliated enough? Then I'll stop. Then what I'll do then is I block Jimmy Dore because I'm tired of being humiliated. But then I keep tweeting at him and negatively about him because I'm a coward. And you'll see how big of a coward he is in the next video. Watch this.
Over again. I'm not gonna engage that particular thing anymore.
No.
But
I'll just block you.
I'll just block you and then keep tweeting at you. I'm not going to engage Justin Jackson over forced to vote because I'm keep getting humiliated. But what do you think? I'm wearing a T-shirt. Don't I look relatable? I'm a middle-aged man in a T-shirt.
If I see something that I think, it's like Brianna used to have a podcast called Somebody's Wrong on the Internet. If I see somebody wrong on the internet, I just can't help but tell them they're wrong and here's what's right. I just
guess who's the guy who's wrong on the internet? It's you, Ryan. You're the guy who's wrong on the internet. You were wrong about forced to vote. Remember that? You're wrong about Syria. You're the guy who's wrong on the internet. You're wrong about punching down at Ryan Knight. You're wrong about punching down at Medicare for All March organizers. You're the guy who's wrong on the internet. You're the guy who's doing phony fundraising. Obvious bullshit phony fundraising at your censoring organization. You tried to raise money off of Glenn Greenwald being fired. You're the guy who's wrong on the internet. FYI. Go ahead.
I was just saying that it's interesting. He selectively identifies the people that are wrong on the internet.
Yeah,
he has a little bit of loyalty to other groups.
Oh, that's interesting, Steph. Because the point you're making is that he didn't call out Cenk Uygur when he flat out lied about forced to vote and said Kevin McCarthy could become speaker. You didn't do that, did you? Right? That guy was. You didn't call out Cenk Uygur when he said Aaron Matei was paid by the Russians. You didn't do that. You didn't call out Cenk Uygur when he was smearing Julian Assange as working for Trump. You didn't do that. So you have selective about who you call out on the internet. Isn't that interesting? You'll never call out the Young Turks for their horrible misogyny. You'll never call out the Young Turks for their pig behavior when they posted revenge porn and upskirt photos at a company you work for currently. You'll never call them out for that. You'll never call out their ugly, unbelievable, their humiliation of women on camera. You'll never call that out.
No, because he has a financial attachment
That's
to them,
right.
because I believe you can get Ryan Grimm's book on the TYT platform, everybody.
I bet you can.
Would that compromise his reporting?
Of course
in
it
any way?
would. He'll never tell the truth about the biggest middle-aged McCarthyite smear merchants, which is the Young Turks. So this idea that you call out you're the guy who's wrong, and the people you work with and for, they're the ones who are wrong on the internet, which is why you have to block people like a jag-off pothead comedian, yet still tweet at him and about him. Is there any more of this? No, that's it. Okay, here we go. He's like, Ryan Grimm is like if Sam Donaldson had a love child with Sam Donaldson. I think they need to add a Sam Donaldson photo in the. So here comes, now this is my favorite part. This all happened right at the end of their live stream, and as soon as I started asking questions, they jumped. So it was unfortunate. I was hoping that they would, make him answer some of the questions, or at least one of them. But here's what happened. Watch this.
And then sometimes I see you, getting salty when people come after you. And it's like, well, you did kind of wade into this yourself. I think that's fair to say with the force the vote stuff, which on your debate with Breonna Joy Gray, you essentially admitted was a good idea after all was said and done. And, so I don't know.
I think the idea of leveraging your vote, like for a particular floor vote on Medicare for all, no. But like,
No. Yes, so
what the fuck?
The idea of forced to vote is good, just not when there's a totally ideal time to do it, like in the middle of a deadly pandemic. He's still doing that shit. We should have asked for something else. When he came on my show, he was saying I wasn't asking for enough. He was saying you got to ask for more than Medicare for all. And now he's saying that's a bad idea. Why? There's no reason why. Again, there's still no reason why.
Of like withholding your vote for speaker or for the rules package for leverage. That's I never said that wasn't a good idea. Could your voice crack a little harder? Yeah, I never said it wasn't bad. Come on. I mean, obviously the idea Jimmy Dore came up with is a fucking great, which I didn't come up with, by the way. I didn't come up with this fucking idea. The idea that Jimmy Dore was pushing was obviously correct and right, and I have to now still weasel and try to pretend like it was somehow wrong, even though, you should use leverage for your vote to get something. What? And why not Medicare? Anyway. Kind of stumbled into that one because, I at first I thought I was just like offering helpful, insight into the parliamentary process behind it.
He's a helpful guy.
He just wants the help.
He's a solid dude.
He's just an earnest man. With decidedly unserious here. He's just an earnest man. He's just trying to be helpful, everybody. He's Mr. Good Guy. He's Andy Griffith.
And show who just put the thing on, happily came on to explain. And I was the one who explained to him that no, it's not going to elect Kevin McCarthy.
By the way,
So then why didn't you call out Cenk Uygur when he kept pushing that lie? Oh, that's right, because you don't call out most of the people who you have financial interest with. You just call out like podcasters, comedians, stuff like that. That's who you call out. So watch this. Now it gets really fun. Watch this.
Did you back on Jimmy Dore? Because he always talks about like, I would whip his ass and all this stuff. But seemingly he did have you on at one point, deleted it, and then won't have you back on again. So
no, he has never.
Oh, really? I've never. So watch this. Oh, he's never had. Watch how quickly this turns. No, he's never had me back on. Oh, really, Ryan? Watch how this turns.
Ask me.
If you're listening, Jimmy, you can have Ryan back on. I think he's willing to talk to you. I think he'd be more than happy to have this conversation. Maybe you wouldn't. Am I wrong? Would you like to?
I don't know. I mean,
Wait a minute.
That really surprised him. Gavin got totally taken. I'm sure you'd be glad to. No, he wouldn't. Because I'm going to fucking expose him and all his bullshit. No, he wouldn't. Why do you think he blocked me on Twitter? Which I also super chatted to you. So you guys, they knew that he had blocked me. I super chatted it to them. So they knew that. Why did you think he was going to? So this is Ryan Grimm being, right. So their new buddy, Ryan Grimm, is revealing himself to be a weasel right in front of them. That's got to be tough. Here we go. Watch that. Let me back it up a little.
By the way, has he invited you back on, Jimmy Dore? Because he always talks about like, oh, I would whip his ass and all this stuff. But seemingly he did have you on at one point, deleted it, and then won't have you back on again. So
no, he's never asked me.
If you're listening, Jimmy, you can have Ryan back on. I think he's willing to talk to you. I think he'd be more than happy to have this conversation. Maybe you wouldn't. Am I wrong? Would you like to?
I don't know. I mean, a few people sent me clips where
I'm gonna say, I get the talk about a hot foot, mister. I got the
Wait a minute.
All around tough guy. Let me finish. Hey, I got to back that up. That was like
my favorite.
This is my favorite part. This is my
I mean,
favorite. Boy, the Vanguard got a real surprise. They got a real surprise.
And all this stuff, but seemingly he did have you on at one point, deleted it, and then won't have you back on again. So
no, he's never asked me.
If you're listening, Jimmy, you can have Ryan back on. I think he's willing to talk to you. I think he'd be more than happy to have this conversation. Maybe you wouldn't. Am I wrong? Would you like to?
I don't know. I mean, a few people sent me clips where he's like talking about me in weirdly sexual ways. It's weird, and so like.
And so I tried to make up this ridiculous reason why I won't go on his show. And are you guys going to buy it? I'm saying it's weird. I'm going to try and make Jimmy Dore out to be some kind of fucking really weird guy. And that's why I don't want to go on when everyone knows it's because I don't want to get embarrassed again. Look at him. He's weirdly sick. But watch, Gavin comes right at him. It's really funny. Watch this.
Would you be able to give an example of that?
I don't want to get too graphic, but he like talks about like different fetishes he thinks I have. It's like, it's weird. It's like, what is?
When he talks about your fetish for being humiliated or whatever.
Yeah. But when he talks about your fetish for being humiliated, that's the part that's too graphic. None of those words, every one of those words you could say on morning television. Your fetish for humiliation. Everyone. Oh, I don't want to get too graphic. You don't want to get too graphic. Or you're just a fraidy skirty cat of a pothead. He just fucking right in his face. God bless Gavin. Right in his face. He did it. Right. God bless that guy. Right in his fucking face. He goes, you mean like your fetish for humiliation?
A few times he's taken it to like a really graphic place. And it's like,
yeah. Well, that's fair. Well, if this is Jimmy, I'm not sure if it is. He does say you're welcome back on anytime. So maybe you guys can hash out your disagreements. I certainly think that you guys are both smarter than you probably give each other credit for.
No, he is not. Why is it that I can own him? He's a bullshitter, and it's obvious. And so it's not about being smarter or unsmarter. It's about him being a transparent bullshitter. And it doesn't take smarts to see it. What he did around Forced to Vote was bullshit. That's what he did. What he did with Syria and Aaron on Twitter was bullshit. That wasn't honest. He's not a fucking authentic guy. This idea that and he goes on the show to be rehabilitated. It didn't work. Go look at the comments from under this video. Go look. I couldn't find a comment that was happy with Ryan Grimm and this interview. I could not find one. So his big plan to come on this show, not answer the questions I asked about Syria, but instead try to make everything into some kind of spat, didn't work. It didn't work. And putting on the T-shirt didn't work. People go over there. Go to the Vanguard. I love that show. I love those guys. Go over there, look at the comments. Not one of them liked Ryan Grimm or this interview. So, and here's what I said about him sexually. You want to hear what I said about him sexually? No.
He didn't answer.
No.
He didn't answer. But the answer is obvious. So why are you weighing in on a topic that you haven't even read the basic minimum about it? And why are you trying to dismiss the whistleblowers if you haven't even read the most basic documents showing the evidence that they collected that was censored?
And I think he likes to be humiliated. Some people like humiliation. I don't judge those people. Whatever gets you off, that's what gets him off. That's part of BDSM. I get it. You like to be humiliated. It helps him come, probably. I don't know. But here you are ratioing his ass like a maniac. 1,088 likes. He's getting like 50 likes on his. Here, you got 47 on this one. So he goes, they do suggest, meaning the whistleblowers, they do suggest there was no attack, but they say they're open to an investigation. I also don't quite get their point. If there was a chemical attack by Assad, then are airstrikes and regime change the answer? Of course not, but that's the implication of fighting this so hard.
No, it's not.
No,
he's creating a straw man. He's
trying
to say that we're saying that the airstrikes by Trump would somehow be justified.
No.
If they're actually no, we're saying that there was a cover-up. There's allegations of a cover-up. And the implication of that is that Syria was not guilty, but in fact this was staged by the death squads that controlled Duma at the time.
And he won't acknowledge that. So we need to
investigate that, which is a scandal. We need to investigate that.
And he just won't acknowledge that fact.
No.
He just keeps, this is what's called muddying the waters, what he's doing here. This is called muddying the waters and running interference. And it got a total of 47 likes because nobody even knows what the fuck he's really even saying, which happens a lot in Ryan Grimm's tweets. He'll admit, I'm not really saying anything at all. So that's the sexual humiliation that Ryan Grimm was referring to, or me talking about his sex life. He was trying to make like I had some weird fascination with him. For anyone keeping score at home with Ryan Grimm, Ryan Grimm, the D.C. bureau chief for The Intercept, is the guy that digs up tweets from 4 years ago on podcasters like Ryan Knight just to shit on them, to shit on podcasters for no reason. And this guy is the one talking about strange behavior from someone else. And, you know, maybe he goes on Twitter to be humiliated so much, Ryan Grimm, the D.C. bureau chief for The Intercept. Maybe, look at it from his point of view, maybe because of COVID, he couldn't find an S&M club. So like a lot of people, he was forced online. We should take it easy on him. His very public penchant for humiliation is just another casualty of this pandemic. So this is how dumb Ryan Grimm is. I always think Ryan Grimm, he's the D.C. bureau chief for The Intercept. He must have an ace up his sleeve, or else why would he come at me on Twitter just to get owned? I always think but he doesn't. He doesn't have anything. And so this is him. He tweeted this out. Case has me blocked and then tweets about me. He says, the funniest part is Jimmy claims to be a comedian, but this is the kind of bit he can come up with. Ha, ha. So he tweets this out because he thinks it's going to embarrass me. And it's somehow an own on me. You want to see what it was?
I can't wait.
Here it is. If you ever wondered, could someone be so boring that my cock actually falls off? Yes. Watch that. Watch when he comes on Rising. You'll go like, oh my God, what happened to your cock, honey? I was watching Ryan Grimm on Rising and my cock literally got bored off. There you go. There you go. Okay. So that's Ryan Grimm trying to go on the Vanguard to rehabilitate his reputation, but the viewers of the Vanguard are not having it. Not having it at all. And of course he won't come on this show. Of course, I don't. Hamina. Oh God, I have such fucking idiots for enemies. Our live shows are back. August 4th, we're in Burbank. August 7th, we're in Chicago. We're going to Portland. We're going to Boston. We're going to everywhere. Go to JimmyDoreComedy.com for a link for tickets.